Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins, the most valuable Lincoln Old Wheat penny coins value in market in dollar. So let's get started. First up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny without a mint mark is one of the most distinctive and historically interesting coins in U.S. numismatics. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. Unlike most Lincoln cents, this coin was not made of copper. During World War II, copper was needed for military equipment, so in 1943, the U.S. Mint produced cents from zinc-coated steel. This unusual change in metal makes the 1943 steel penny instantly recognizable by its silver-gray color and magnetic properties. The design remains the same classic Lincoln wheat penny style created by Victor David Brenner, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and two wheat ears on the back. When newly minted, these steel cents had a bright, shiny appearance due to the zinc coating. Over time, many examples developed dark spots, scratches, or rust where the zinc wore off and exposed the steel underneath. Because of this, finding well-preserved examples can be challenging, especially after decades of circulation. Your coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches. In fine condition, the main details of Lincoln's portrait are still visible, though there is clear wear on the high points, such as the cheek, jaw, and hair. The date and lettering remain readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible but worn. The scratches reduce the coin's eye appeal, which slightly lowers its market value, but the coin still remains collectible due to its unique wartime composition and historical significance. In today's market, a 1943 steel penny without a mint mark in fine condition generally has a value of around 20 to 40 cents. Coins with fewer scratches, brighter original zinc coating, and no rust can sell for slightly more, sometimes reaching 50 cents or even $1 in very fine condition. Extra fine and uncirculated examples are more desirable and can be worth several dollars, while rare error varieties, such as the 1943 copper penny, are extremely valuable and worth thousands or even millions of dollars. However, the standard steel version is common and affordable for collectors. Despite its modest value, the 1943 steel penny holds strong historical importance. It represents a time when the United States redirected critical resources to support the war effort, even altering everyday coinage to meet national needs. These pennies circulated widely during wartime and were used by millions of Americans in their daily lives, making them powerful symbols of sacrifice and adaptation. To preserve the coin, it is best not to clean it or polish it, as cleaning can damage the zinc coating and encourage rust. The coin should be stored in a dry place, ideally in a protective holder or coin flip, to prevent moisture exposure. Proper storage helps maintain its condition and prevents further corrosion, which is especially important for steel coins.
First up, the 1937 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint and is part of the classic Lincoln wheat cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958. By the late 1930s, the Lincoln penny had become a familiar and trusted coin in everyday American life, circulating widely during a period when the country was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, remained unchanged and highly recognizable. On the obverse, the coin features Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right with "In God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1937 to the right. Just below the date is the small D mint mark, indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint. The reverse displays the iconic wheat ears design, with two stylized wheat stalks framing the denomination 1 cent and the country name United States of America. At the top is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The wheat ears symbolize growth, strength, and agricultural prosperity, values that resonated strongly during the 1930s when Americans were focused on recovery and rebuilding. The coin you described is in fine condition with some scratches, meaning it has seen moderate circulation but still retains clear and readable design details. In the fine grade, Lincoln's portrait is fully visible, with noticeable wear on the hair and cheek, yet the facial outline remains strong. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are clearly defined, though the central lines show wear. The presence of scratches slightly reduces the coin's visual appeal, but such marks are common for coins that circulated heavily for decades and do not remove its collectible status. The 1937 D. Lincoln wheat penny had a mintage of approximately 50 million coins, which is significantly lower than the Philadelphia issue for the same year. This lower mintage makes the Denver minted version more desirable to collectors, especially in higher grades. While it is not considered rare, it is more challenging to find in well-preserved condition compared to many common wheat pennies of the era. The composition of the coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a warm reddish-brown tone when originally struck. Over time, exposure to air, handling, and storage conditions can darken the surface or create uneven toning. Scratches and wear further indicate the coin's long journey through circulation, passing through countless hands in shops, homes, and workplaces. In terms of market value, a 1937 D. Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition with some scratches typically sells for around $1.50 to $3 in today's market. Coins in very fine condition can bring $3 to $6, while extra fine examples may reach $8 to $12. Uncirculated coins, particularly those with strong red color and original luster, can command prices ranging from $25 to $50 or more, especially if professionally graded. Beyond its monetary value, this coin carries historical importance. Minted during the later years of the Great Depression, it circulated at a time when every cent mattered to American families. Pennies like this were used for small but essential purchases, such as candy, bread, newspapers, and postage stamps. They were also saved in jars and collections, often representing hope and thrift during challenging economic times. Even with scratches and wear, the 1937 D. wheat penny tells a powerful story. Each mark reflects decades of circulation and everyday use, making it a tangible connection to life in the 1930s. For collectors, coins like this are valued not only for their price, but also for the history they represent and the role they played in daily American life. Next up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny with D mint mark is a unique and historically important U.S. coin produced during World War II. The D mint mark below the date indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1943, copper was needed for military use, so the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the 1-cent coin to zinc-coated steel. This decision created one of the most recognizable coins in American history, easily identified by its silver-gray color and its ability to stick to a magnet. The design of the coin remains the classic Lincoln wheat penny created by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and 2 wheat ears on the back. When first issued, these steel cents were bright and shiny, but many quickly developed scratches, dark spots, or rust as the thin zinc coating wore away. Because of this, finding steel pennies in strong condition today can be difficult, especially after decades of circulation. Your coin is described as being in good condition with some scratches. In good condition, the coin shows heavy wear from circulation. Lincoln's portrait is flat with worn facial details, but the outline of the design is still clear. The date and lettering remain readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible but worn. The presence of scratches and possible dark spots further lowers the eye appeal, which affects the overall market value, but the coin remains collectible due to its wartime origin. In today's market, a 1943 steel penny with D mint mark in good condition generally has a value of approximately 15 to 30 cents. Coins with cleaner surfaces, fewer scratches, and no rust may sell toward the higher end of this range, while examples with noticeable corrosion may sell closer to the lower end. Very fine examples can reach around $50 to $1, and uncirculated pieces are worth several dollars.
Rare errors, such as a 1943 copper penny struck at the Denver Mint, are extremely valuable, but those are exceptionally rare and should not be confused with the standard steel version. Even though its value is modest, this coin carries strong historical significance. It represents the American home front effort during World War II, when even everyday objects like coins were adapted to support the war. Millions of Americans use these steel pennies in daily transactions, making them lasting symbols of that era. To protect the coin, it is best not to clean or polish it, as cleaning can damage the zinc coating and increase the risk of rust. The coin should be stored in a dry environment, preferably in a protective coin holder or flip, to prevent moisture exposure and further deterioration. Next up, the 1936 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Cent series that began in 1909 and continued until 1958. By 1936, the Lincoln penny had already become one of the most familiar coins in everyday American life, circulating widely during the years of recovery following the Great Depression. The classic design by Victor David Brenner remained unchanged and continued to symbolize stability and tradition in U.S. coinage. The coin you described is in good condition with some scratches, meaning it has experienced noticeable circulation wear over the decades. In the good grade, Lincoln's portrait is still visible, but the finer details of his hair, cheek, and coat are worn smooth. On the reverse, the wheat stalks remain identifiable, though most of the fine lines have faded. The scratches indicate handling and contact with other coins, which slightly lowers the coin's eye appeal, but is very common for coins of this age that circulated heavily. The 1936 Philadelphia Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark had a mintage of approximately 309 million coins, making it a common date in the series. Because of this high production, its value today depends almost entirely on condition. Coins in good condition are widely available, while higher-grade examples are more sought after by collectors. The composition of the 1936 Lincoln cent is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a rich reddish color when first minted. Over time, oxidation and circulation often turn the surface brown or dark brown. While dirt, wear, and scratches reduce collector value, they also show the coin's long journey through everyday American commerce. In today's market, a 1936 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition with some scratches typically has a value of around 10 to 20 cents. Coins in fine condition may sell for 30 to 50 cents, while very fine examples can reach $1 or more. Uncirculated coins, especially those with original red color, command prices ranging from $5 to $15 depending on eye appeal and certification. Historically, the 1936 wheat penny circulated during a time when Americans were slowly recovering from economic hardship. Pennies like this were essential for everyday purchases, such as candy, newspapers, and postage stamps. They were often saved in jars or piggy banks, making them a familiar part of family life during the 1930s. In conclusion, the 1936 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition with some scratches carries a current market value of approximately 10 to 20 cents. While it is not rare, it remains an important and collectible piece of American history. Its age, classic design, and connection to the Great Depression era make it a meaningful addition to any Lincoln wheat penny collection, even in well-circulated condition. Next up, the 1917 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is an early and historically significant U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It belongs to the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and 2 wheat ears on the reverse. Coins from this period are especially interesting to collectors because they represent the early years of the Lincoln cent and circulated during a time when the United States was deeply involved in World War I. The 1917 penny was minted in the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When first issued, the coin had a bright red color, but after more than a century of circulation, most surviving examples show brown or dark brown toning. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 196 million Lincoln cents in 1917, making it a fairly common date. However, coins from this era still attract attention because of their age and historical background. Your coin is described as being in dirty condition, with some scratches, indicating heavy circulation, surface grime, and wear accumulated over many decades. In this condition, Lincoln's portrait is worn with flattened facial features, and the finer details of the hair and coat are mostly gone. The date and lettering remain readable, but the overall appearance is dull and darkened. The wheat stalks on the reverse are visible, but heavily worn. Scratches and dirt reduce the coin's eye appeal and significantly lower its market value, especially for collectors seeking cleaner examples. In today's market, a 1917 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in dirty condition with scratches generally has a value of around 10 to 25 cents. Coins in better condition, such as fine or very fine, can be worth 50 cents to $2, while extra fine or uncirculated examples may sell for several dollars or more. Because your coin shows heavy wear and surface damage, its realistic value would likely be near the lower end of the range, approximately 10 to 20 cents. Even though its monetary value is modest, this coin carries meaningful historical value. It circulated during a time of major global conflict and economic change, and pennies like this were used daily by Americans during the World War I era. Each mark and scratch reflects decades of real-world use, giving the coin character and a story that goes beyond its market price. To preserve the coin, cleaning is not recommended, as it can damage the surface and reduce collector interest. The best option is to store it in a protective coin holder or flip, kept in a dry place to prevent further corrosion or deterioration. Proper storage helps maintain what remains of its detail and historical significance.
Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and comes from one of the most interesting years in U.S. coinage history. After the steel cents of 1943, the U.S. Mint returned to producing bronze pennies in 1944, using recycled copper shell casings from World War II. Because of this, every 1944 wheat penny carries a direct connection to America's wartime effort, making it especially meaningful to collectors. The coin you described is in very fine condition with some scratches, meaning it has light wear from circulation but still retains strong detail. In the very fine grade, Lincoln's facial features, hair, and coat lines are clearly visible, with only minor smoothing on the highest points. The wheat stalks on the reverse remain well defined, showing light wear but strong central lines. The scratches slightly reduce eye appeal, but are common for coins that circulated during the 1940s and do not greatly affect its overall collectible value. The mintage of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was extremely high, with over 1.4 billion coins struck, making it one of the most common dates in the series. Because of this, rarity does not drive the value. Instead, condition and surface quality are the key factors. Coins in higher grades, especially with attractive color and minimal marks, are always more desirable to collectors. The composition of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a reddish-brown appearance when newly minted. Over time, exposure to air, handling, and storage conditions often darkens the surface to various shades of brown. Natural toning is generally accepted by collectors, though scratches and heavy marks reduce premium value. In today's market, a 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches typically has a value of around 25 cents to 50 cents. Coins in extremely fine condition may sell for 75 cents to $1, while uncirculated examples can range from $2 to $5, and fully read, professionally graded coins may reach $10 or more depending on eye appeal. Beyond its dollar value, this coin holds strong historical significance. It circulated during World War II, a time when Americans faced rationing, sacrifice, and uncertainty. Pennies like this were used daily for small purchases such as candy, newspapers, and postage stamps, and many were saved by families as reminders of difficult but important times. Each scratch and worn edge tells the story of its long journey through everyday life. In conclusion, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, in very fine condition with some scratches, carries a current market value of approximately 25 cents to 50 cents. While common, it is a historically important coin with a unique wartime background. Even with minor surface marks, it remains a meaningful collectible and a lasting reminder of America's resilience during World War II.
Next up, the 1927 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark is a classic early U.S. coin struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d below the date on the obverse. It belongs to the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent on the reverse. Coins from the 1920s are especially popular with collectors because they represent an era of change and growth in the United States following World War I. The 1927 Lincoln cent was minted in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When originally issued, the coin had a bright red color, but most examples today show brown or red-brown toning due to decades of circulation and natural oxidation. The Denver Mint produced approximately 27 million Lincoln cents in 1927, which is a lower mintage compared to many Philadelphia issues of the same period. Because of this, the 1927 D wheat penny is more desirable than many other common-date wheat cents, especially in better condition. Your coin is described as being in good condition with some scratches. In good condition, the coin shows heavy wear from circulation. Lincoln's portrait appears flat, with worn facial details, but the outline of the design is still clear. The date and lettering are readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible but worn smooth in many areas. The scratches further reduce the coin's eye appeal, which affects its overall market value, but it remains collectible due to its Denver Mint origin and relatively lower mintage. In today's market, a 1927 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in good condition with some scratches has a current market value of approximately 50 cents to $1. While it is not a high-value coin in this condition, it is a desirable and meaningful collectible that represents an important period in the Lincoln wheat penny series and early 20th century American history. Next up, the 1938 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint and represents one of the final years of the classic Lincoln wheat cent series before major design changes arrived 2 decades later. By 1938, the Lincoln penny was deeply embedded in everyday American life, circulating during a period when the country was emerging from the Great Depression and slowly rebuilding its economy. The design by Victor David Brenner remained unchanged and continued to symbolize strength, unity, and stability. The coin you described is in extra fine condition with some scratches, meaning it has only light wear and retains nearly all of its original design detail. In extra fine grade, Lincoln's facial features, hairlines, and coat details are sharp and clearly visible, with wear limited to the highest points. The wheat stalks on the reverse remain crisp, with only slight flattening on the central lines. The scratches slightly affect eye appeal, but are minor and typical for a circulated coin of this age. The 1938 D Lincoln wheat penny had a mintage of approximately 20 million coins, which is relatively low compared to many other wheat pennies of the 1930s. Because of this lower mintage, the Denver issue is more desirable to collectors, especially in higher grades like extra fine and above. Condition plays a major role in determining its market value, and well-preserved examples are actively sought after. The composition of the coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a reddish-brown color when first minted. Over time, exposure to air, handling, and storage can darken the surface or create natural toning. Collectors often appreciate coins with even toning and minimal surface damage, even if light scratches are present. In today's market, a 1938 Lincoln wheat penny with a D mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches typically has a value of around $4 to $7. Coins in extremely fine condition may sell for $8 to $12, while uncirculated examples can range from $20 to $40 or more, especially if they retain strong red color and original luster. Professionally graded coins in top mint state command even higher prices. In historical terms, this coin circulated during a time when the United States was preparing for major global changes. Just a few years before World War II, Americans were focused on economic recovery, industrial growth, and national unity. Pennies like this one were used daily for small purchases and savings, becoming part of the rhythm of everyday life.
Next up, the 1934 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It is part of the long-running Lincoln wheat penny series designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. Coins from the mid-1930s are especially meaningful because they circulated during the Great Depression, a time when even small denominations like the penny played an important role in everyday life. The 1934 Lincoln cent was minted in the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When first produced, the coin had a bright red color, but most surviving examples today show red-brown or brown toning due to age and circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 219 million Lincoln cents in 1934, making it a fairly common date. However, collectors still value these coins, particularly when they are found in higher grades. Your coin is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In very fine condition, the coin shows light to moderate wear. Lincoln's facial features, hair details, and coat lines are clearly visible, though slightly worn on the highest points. The date and lettering are sharp, and the wheat stalks on the reverse retain most of their detail. The presence of scratches lowers the eye appeal slightly, which can affect the final value, but the coin remains attractive and collectible in this grade. In today's market, a 1934 wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition typically has a value of about 40 cents to $1. Coins with better color and fewer surface marks may reach around $10 to $20, while extremely fine examples can sell for approximately $2 to $4. Uncirculated coins, especially those with original red color, are more valuable and can be worth several dollars or more. Because your coin has some scratches, its realistic value would likely fall toward the lower to middle end of the very fine range, around 40 to 75 cents. Even though it is not a rare coin, the 1934 wheat penny has strong historical appeal. It circulated during one of the most challenging economic periods in U.S. history, and pennies like this were used daily by Americans trying to make ends meet. Each coin carries the marks of its time, reflecting decades of real use and economic hardship. To protect the coin, cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as this can damage the surface and reduce collector interest. The best way to preserve it is to store it in a protective coin holder or flip, kept in a dry environment to prevent further wear or corrosion. Proper storage helps maintain both its condition and its historical character. Next up, the 1920 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and comes from the early part of the Lincoln wheat cent series, which began in 1909. Coins from the 1920s are especially interesting to collectors because they bridge the period between World War I and the economic boom of the Roaring '20s.
The familiar design by Victor David Brenner features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the symbolic wheat ears on the reverse, making this penny both historically important and visually iconic. The coin you described is in very fine condition with some scratches, meaning it has light to moderate wear but still retains strong details. In the very fine grade, Lincoln's facial features, hair, and coat lines are clearly visible, with wear limited to the highest points. On the reverse, the wheat stalks remain well-defined, though the central lines show light smoothing. The scratches slightly reduce eye appeal, but are common for coins that have circulated for over a century. The 1920 Philadelphia Lincoln wheat penny had a mintage of approximately 63 million coins, which is lower than many other Philadelphia issues of the era. Because of this, the 1920 no mint mark penny is more desirable than several surrounding dates, especially in higher grades like very fine and above. Collectors often seek this date to complete early Lincoln cent collections. The composition of the coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a reddish tone when freshly minted. Over time, natural oxidation and handling usually turn the surface brown or dark brown. Even with scratches, coins with natural toning are often appreciated for their originality and age. In today's market, a 1920 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches typically has a value of around $2 to $4. Coins in extra fine condition may sell for $500 to $800, while uncirculated examples can bring $250 to $480 or more, especially if they retain strong red color and original mint luster. Professionally graded coins in top condition can command even higher prices. Historically, this coin circulated during a period of transition in American society. The nation was recovering from World War I, and everyday commerce relied heavily on coins like this penny. It was used for small purchases such as candy, newspapers, and postage stamps, and often saved by families as a symbol of thrift and stability. Each coin passed through countless hands, becoming part of daily life in early 20th century America. In conclusion, the 1920 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches carries a current market value of approximately $2 to $4. While not extremely rare, it is a desirable and meaningful collectible due to its age, lower mintage, and strong historical context. Even with minor surface marks, it remains an excellent example of early Lincoln wheat penny coinage and a valuable addition to any collection.